I was just reminded of Bob Sessions isn't here and Chris Kellerman isn't here. They were also vestry members. Judy and Chris and I are going off the vestry. So in front of you is the annual report that you can look through at your own leisure. And now on to electing the new vestry members, which would be Elizabeth Swain has graciously consented, and Dorothy Whiston has graciously consented. We only need to have 2 this year, and so those are the 2 vestry candidates. So it's been moved and seconded that they would be accepted by acclamation. So there's nobody else that can jump in as a write-in candidate. Going once, going twice. All those in favor, say. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys, for doing that. Now, on to the annual report and the financial budget report for 2025 and the budget for 2026. George, do you want me to bring the microphone to you? And this is George's last round as treasurer, and Nancy Reinke has accepted to take that position on. And this is a special thanks to George and to all the treasurers before him. For a small congregation, we are very fiscally sound and solvent, and it's because of their dedication to making sure that that has happened. And so thank you, George. I should give you a plaque for everything you've done.
Thanks, Jerry. I'm going to try to be brief. There are only 2 times a treasurer is brief. One is when everything is fine, and the other time is when he's trying to hide something. And I can guarantee to you that we are fine. We are fine. I think that's, in summation, that's really what the treasurer has to report, is that we are in good shape. We had our treasury looked at this year by outside sources, through diocesan sources, and they said we were one of the best managed, financially best managed parishes in the state. That we are doing well. You can see for yourself, in addition to our budget, which is quite healthy, we also have funds outside the budget that we can draw on if necessary, and have in the past, and will continue to do in the future. And those are all laid out for you on page 25, 26, 27 of your report. We did 2 infrastructure projects this year, the air conditioning and the 3rd camera. We used outside, not outside, but outside the budget money to pay for those through donations and through tapping our reserve fund. You can see that Natalie has reported all the outreach activity in 2025, which, although most of the numbers are small, when you add them all up, it's $10,000. In addition to the $15,000 that we pay in our diocesan pledge each year. So for a small church, $25,000 outreach is pretty significant. I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be a church, to be from a church, be part of a church that is so responsible, that spends within its means, that understands that it takes money to do things and are willing to raise it to get there. It's just really pleasing to be able to report on a report like this. We, the Budget Committee and the Vestry, have both agreed on a budget to present to you. The budget is, I think, Natalie, it's on page 26. Oh, 22? 22 and 23. If you have any questions, most of us are here. The Budget Committee and so on are here. So now is the time to ask questions about it. We have a budget of $128,500, which is pretty significant, I think, for a church our size. we were able to increase the amount of outreach for next year by 2,000. So, I think it's all pretty good. We ask that you ratify the budget so that we can move forward with what we have, unless there are changes or alterations or suggestions. Well, the head dudes are conferring. The talking heads. Oh, you have an amendment, okay. Dale has an amendment.
The budget is proposed on page 22. If you read it very carefully, you see there was no pay raise in there for Natalie. The vestry approved a pay raise for her. So my motion is to amend this to reflect the vestry's vote.
Okay, that's right. The pay raise came in January, and the budget had been already fixed by that point. So Natalie. Yeah.
Well, you don't know how big the raise is.
It wasn't enormous, but it was something.
More than the Republicans want to give to schools.
With that amendment, is there a motion to ratify? Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. And done. I want to thank, I'm leaving for the jury, I'm done as treasurer. But I want to thank Julia, who came before me, who did a terrific job and really straightened out a lot of a big mess and did an awful lot of work on getting us to the point where we have a regular sustaining budget and treasury situation after that. So what I did was pretty easy peasy. I also want to thank Natalie for, I was gone for 6 months and things went fine. We were okay. So I want to thank Natalie for doing all the work that she does in the treasury. Thank you.
Thanks, George. And we know that Jim Conger is the winner of the brand new Epiphany ring. Now, as my final act, we're going to do a little project about maybe trying to figure out what the next new intention for New Song shall be. And I've picked the area of growth. And I've divided it into different possibilities of growth. One would be trying to expand our outreach in the neighborhood. One is to try to find and bring families back into our congregation. One is, do we want to grow in a similar demographic at which we are now? Mostly retired professional people who still find church important and moving and regular, and who are active in outreach and all those, the many things that we do. The other area is maybe a little more controversial, and that would be, can we grow changing from a quarter-time priest to a half-time priest, at least? And then I have one that I'm not going to talk about, but I'm going to hand to the ordained to go through. And so what this is I gave a general area for you to discuss. I want you to define a more specific goal around that area. Then I want you to look at what if we achieved a goal around growth of family or whatever, what would New Song look like if we did that? My favorite is a friend of mine thought that they want to rent a catamaran and sail from like New York to the Caribbean. But they first went sailing on a lake and discovered they had motion sickness. And so before spending on a $20,000, $30,000 vacation, that would have made them nothing but motion sickness. So that is what's called doing the as if. So if we did this, what would it look like? Then I want you to name down some things about what we would need to do to obtain that goal. And then I want you to discuss what would stop you from obtaining that goal. And then what we're going to do if we get off track about getting back on track for that goal. But here's the biggest one in my mind, is who is going to hold us accountable to obtaining a goal. We have been a great church of newsprint, seminars, day-long, John did a day-long thing about a book by Diana Butler Bass, great ideas, but then we didn't have anybody to bring it to fruition or hold us accountable to make any of these ideas come to fruition. So accountability to me is super important. And then there'll be, if we don't obtain these goals, what are we going to look like that way? And then if we do accomplish a goal, what do we do to celebrate? A friend of mine runs a church in Erie, Pennsylvania, brilliant man. They recently had a celebration like this, welcoming the 12 new members to their church. 12 new members. And it's a church bigger than us, but not substantially bigger than us. And it is a little bit probably a church based around an individual that's very charismatic and dynamic, without a doubt. But 12 new members. You know, if we got new members, what would we do to celebrate them as part of this congregation? So I'm going to hand these things out at the table. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to get too into the weeds over all these things, just some basic ideas. And then I'm going to pass out a ballot at the end of this discussion, and I want each of you to mark which would be your first goal that you think we should work on, what would be your second goal, and it's going to be a secret ballot, so nobody has to, identify which direction they go. I'll compile that information and give it to the new vestry to determine if it's something they want to work on. So, with that in mind, yes, ma'am.
Is there a time frame?
1 year. I'll make the time frame for you. Today, I'm going to give you about 15 minutes at the table to discuss. Then I'm going to have each one of you have somebody tell what your table discussed about, and then we'll wrap it up. You know me, I keep it to the point, or I try to. Okay, let's take a couple more minutes and kind of wrap it up. Hello? All right. Let's continue on now, and I'm going to have a spokesperson from each table tell us what their particular area that they were talking about, and just give a brief description of what that is that they have come up with. And I gave everybody the ballot to vote what would be the number one thing you'd want to work on, number two, and or add the third, add your own. But I'm going to start with the clergy. Who's going to do it?
I will, I guess. Thank you, Jerry. So our question, which was one you hadn't heard, Jerry did want to share it, concerning growth, was how does our Episcopal identity affect growth? Yeah, right? Isn't that a good question? We didn't get very far, but
How does our Episcopal identity affect growth?
growth, yeah. Growth is the theme of the day, hopefully at all the tables. And so we were looking at the various things that one thinks of when you think of the Episcopal Church, right? Music. Music that's not the bouncing ball on the wall. It's not happy clappy. It's substantive or substantive. That is something that can affect our growth. It's a draw for folks. Our political activism is certainly a draw for folks of like minds, and we can see that at this point pretty much anywhere in the Episcopal Church. There are still pockets of maybe blue churches, but most are, or maybe red churches, excuse me, but most are a deep blue shade of purple. Our liturgy, we actually had it go both ways because we could be known for stuffy liturgy, or we could also be known for recovering ancient ritual and meaningful, deep, the stuff that's been around and is growing. Churches such as Orthodox churches are currently being filled with young folks who like that ritual. We are a church that, especially New Song, embraces the arts in multiple forms. Anna's upcoming recital, we just had Coop as a play. We have a space that is welcoming to musical and theatrical events, given our flexibility, given the acoustics in this building, is a way that we could grow by becoming a space, offering space for bands and other arts groups. I would add that our embrace and recognition of LGBTQ folks is absolutely a draw for many folks who, if they're looking for a church at all, we're in the minority that would honor them and respect their dignity when they walk in the door. And that's as far as we got.
And who would be accountable for making sure that the world outside the walls of New Song understood what we're capable of? It's good to say the things, but don't have
That's
to
right.
say
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Given our identity as a mutual ministry community, everybody. I know you got to have a person, right? Leadership, someone for whom it's a passion and wants to be part of that thing. I mean, it's recognizing our gifts and our passions to find the person to be the leader. Right, that's the best I got.
We decided if we had to limit it to one person, it would be you.
That was pretty unanimous, too.
Okay, up to this table.
Why are you giving me the microphone?
Pointed to you.
So ours was moving from a quarter-time priest to at least a half-time priest. And so it's a little difficult to know what that would look like. What we thought about was there might be advantages and disadvantages of doing that. So an advantage, and it sort of centers around if we have a priest that does more, we'd possibly have a congregation who does less. And being a mutual ministry congregation, that's pretty central to our identity, to have a congregation do things. But on the other hand, we are aging, and if we don't manage to have more younger people, that might actually be a necessity. The steps that we would need to take to reach this goal, because we had Nancy here, who's very thoughtful. She suggested, get everybody involved with discernment as to whether this would be advisable or not. And a second thing would be to determine if it's financially feasible. And the rest of the group you almost look like you want to say something.
Well, my view of discernment is that we don't really know if there are people, we haven't done this for a while, to say, are there things that you would like to do more of, and are there things that you would like to do less of? So being a mutual ministry congregation, we should probably start with the people who are already here, and see what we see ourselves doing long term. Because we do have a lot of talent here, so.
And the other point was, so we were given a 1-year time frame, but for this particular question, we'd have to probably consider sustainability longer than a year.
Anything else?
Not really.
So on your table is the ballot. Vote which one you think would be the number one intention that we should work on first, what one you think we should be on second, but we'll go through everybody before you vote.
I would just remind people while you're moving that for the first 10 years, we had a full-time priest. And I think there was plenty of room for anyone in the congregation doing ministry, and in fact, it seemed to multiply it. I know that there's serious financial limitations here. It would involve people increasing their pledges by quite a bit. But I think it would be a great help to grow.
Plus, at those first 5 years, we were supported by the diocese. John, how many years were we supported by the diocese to pay Elizabeth for those 5 years?
At least
Yeah,
we kept getting 1-year extensions.
it's because you haveth not if you asketh not.
Well, she served full-time for several years without anything more than a quarter or third time salary. But few priests can afford that luxury.
Okay, who's the spokesperson for this table?
I took the notes. I don't know if I'm a spokesperson. Anyway, I think that we
What group you're talking about? Family.
family.
Family, right?
Family. Am I talking about that? Oh, I see. Well, we did talk about growing families, but we focused more on just looking for a way to attract, yes, younger people, but also people more diverse and people with lots of energy. But we didn't really go too much further with the family theme, did we?
Go ahead.
I don't think. Yeah, we did. We did, but, indirectly, we talked about partnering with organizations that we're already involved with, like Open Heartland, to see if, and if we do things that catch people's attention, then possibly people in that group, either volunteers or recipients of good ideas, they might just check out our church. Now, does anybody want to add anything here?
Who would be accountable and who would keep it going?
What? Oh,
Who would be the person to keep it moving forward?
I think it's an individual accounting process. I should think everybody should ask themselves.
Doesn't work that way, though.
Doesn't have.
In my estimation.
Well, the vestry can't do it.
Vestry can't do it all, that's the problem.
No, I don't think they can. They can be the cheerleaders, but I don't think that they would, if they decided to give the congregation an F for growth, they'd be unelected, right? So I don't think we can do it that way.
We used to say that things started at a grassroots level and someone wanted us to do something, and it sort of was their responsibility to keep it going.
So then who wants to be the spokesperson of this group?
Well, all of us have different definitions of what growth is, but at the bottom line is more people involved. Steps we would take to reach the goal. I heard growth in general. I think we all have different ideas. Steps we would take. So, traditionally, churches invite people to events other than their worship service. We hold a lot of such events, and we are getting a few new people. We can all do better at inviting outsiders to come visit. And also, we have a big online audience that we're not really reaching, and we can do something to try and reach that group.
500 people that follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
500 plus.
So that's a group that can be involved and can contribute. What will stop us from working on this goal? Well, people don't want to commit. They don't want to go out. They especially don't want to share information online. So we have issues there. What do we do to get back on track? Well, there are professionals who work online at being influencers and creating groups. So we could turn to them for help. Who will hold us accountable? I'm going to say the treasurer.
Thanks, Nancy.
And
Just
okay. All right. So I think that's it.
Thanks. Oops. Thanks, guys. Who wants to be the spokesperson here?
You have the notes. I started taking notes midway. You have the pen. We chose demographics and growth through demographic change. One of the things we've discussed was possibly getting more additional community activities into the church so that people are familiar with it, and maybe getting them to include an invitation to use our facility when they're here so they'll think of us the next time. Also, I was thinking we could actively contact the different departments at the university and give them a formal invitation to think if they had activities that could use our size space. And I mean, music, theater, etc. Just invite them. And then we talked about, involving us in community activities such as Latchkey Kids and other ways, but that would involve getting volunteers from the parish to oversee it, and it would involve diocesan approval of those people. One thing you mentioned was your Friendship Sunday idea, where everybody got 5 postcards to invite 5 different friends, and I should think we could specify that we wanted different demographics so that people wouldn't only think of inviting other folks like themselves.
For a specific Sunday.
for a specific Sunday. And then during warmer weather to do coffee hour outdoors so that we attracted passersby, and then we could invite them to join us once they were walking or taking their dog or child or whatever. Contact the community that way. Anything I didn't think of? Yeah.
The only thing that we didn't touch on already is that our table was meant to focus on growth within similar demographics as what we have today. And we talked about how we don't think that that's necessarily sustainable if we keep trying to reach the same audience that we're already reaching. That doesn't work long term, so we have to keep looking to alternatives.
Okay, did anybody find this helpful? Nobody.
It's good to discuss it because then that's where ideas come from, so yeah, it's good.
As part of the growth committee, it made me think, oh, Jim and I have stuff to plan. We can work on all of this, so I thought it was helpful.
I like the postcard idea a lot. It's simple, it's doable, it's not asking too much buy-in for people. And it's also, you don't have to talk to people in person about your church. You can,
Isn't that funny? You're ordained, but it's hard to talk to people about your church.
I'm pretty good about it, actually. But yeah.
Anybody else have a comment?
Oh, of course. Of course.
The founding father.
There are so many comments from pretty much all of the tables that seem to have a conjunction in my head, which takes me back to that Saturday day-long workshop I did 20 plus years ago that was based actually on the book by Eric Law called Holy Currencies. And we spent a ton of time talking about all of the activities we could invite into this building that were not worship services, and all of the things we do that we could take out into the public. And, at that point, we had a lot of examples that no longer exist, like, various musical groups that go back to people who are not here anymore, but used to perform in coffee houses and that sort of thing. But I think it's worth talking that through again or finding that list. I know that Jim Conger brought it out about 10 years later, and we went through it again. But, every table has had something that pertained to getting out of the building, bringing people into the building.
All good, but who's going to do it? We've probably had reams of newsprint with similar conversations that are all great ideas, but who's going to hold us accountable to get them from newsprint to action?
Yeah, I have 3 thoughts. One is that we have a marvelous opportunity coming up on March 11th. We have this fantastic concert pianist who's got one of the better instruments in Iowa City to work with in a great hall, and we just need to get people here to hear her. I mean, more people than us ought to be able to hear that poor lady. I would suggest that all of us commit to bringing 1 or 2 guests to that concert on March 11th, which would accomplish a number of things, mostly to get people acquainted with this church. Second thing that I was going to get into is that I think we need to figure out a way to capitalize on the audience of 500 people that we have coming online. One of the sale points that Jerry made when approaching us about doing online is that it's a way to attract more people to the church. And that sounded awfully terrific to me, but now we need to figure out, now we got them online, how do we encourage them to come in person? And I think maybe using a professional to help us with that would be a good idea. And the third thing, as far as who's accountable, I think the logical thing would be to put that in the lap of the growth committee.
The best accountability would be put this in the lap of the growth committees. So then I have already one idea that I will take charge of. Why am I saying that? But the 5 postcard idea for Anna's recital. And I will get a postcard designed by my design person and printed that I can make sure that we have enough that everybody can take 5 postcards to invite people to hear. And Anna is astounding, I think. She gets applause after every postlude. I'm not sure it's totally in keeping with the Episcopal identity, what she does sometimes, but that's okay. I think is okay. But I'll get postcards designed and made that everybody can have 5 postcards for that event that they can send to somebody outside that's in their sphere of influence outside of New Song. And let's see what that does and how that works. Right. I'll talk to her about the content too, so I have a postcard that works for her. But that would be a start. We need to start. But we start, and then we all have all these other jobs that we've taken on, that half of you do stuff that I don't know exactly what it is that you're responsible for. You know? Stephanie does the red book and keeping of all the records that the Episcopal Diocese wants you to keep. There's people that are in charge of cleaning this place. The amount of work that Dale and Bob have done on maintaining this place. There's just stuff that gets done every day by everybody. And on some level, we need to kind of figure some of that out too, so we have a list of who is in charge sometimes. But it is about accountability. We can have all these great ideas, but if we don't have somebody to carry it out, then there we are. So, yes.
At our table, we were also talking about how we're already doing a lot in this church. And it is maybe just a matter of capitalizing on it. And the Lenten book study on Fridays will be preceded, so we'll have the meditation group at 1 and the Lenten book study at 2, and the target demographic is going to be limited to people who are available on Friday afternoon. But those are opportunities to come, participate, and invite someone. And we really are doing a lot. I think we need to be, yes, be held accountable to some degree, but also or intentional, but also to recognize that we work hard. We all do, a lot of people do a lot of things, and we're just gonna find ways to make it work for us.
Anyone else? Ellen?
I don't want to say a lot, but I just want to say, is this for growth's sake? Is that what we're after? Or are we after?
Are we just doing this because we need to grow?
Okay. I don't think that's what Jesus asked us to do. Not to just grow numbers to come to this place. That should not be our goal. Our goal should be to find ways to serve. Now, I'm not denying all the ways we're serving already. But if we're talking about serving this neighborhood, how many people in this contiguous neighborhood know about us or care about us or come here? None. None is the answer, and it's been, well, two, because yes, but you're different. All I want to say is, if we go home and think about this, how can we use our individual skills to offer a day, maybe, or half a day, for people in the neighborhood, and find a way to invite them? Now, George is really good at budgeting and helping people with numbers. I'm good at repairing clothes, putting zippers in, all kinds of things like that. We've got people here who are really good at knitting. A lot of you have skills I don't even know about. But is there a way for us to come together and think about how we can just reach out to the neighbors here and say, oh, here's a day, I'll bring my sewing machine, and if you have something you need repaired, I'm here to do it for you.
That's a good idea for the growth team.
Thank you.
Oh. All right.
The growth team needs to grow too.
Well, let's pray us out and say amen. Jim, if you want to do that, please. Are we going back to the Book of Common Prayer?
We are not. I will tell you what we are going for. You ever heard of Burning Man? All right. There's a community that gathers right out in Black Rock. They're alternative, very much so. The folks that are churchy, their camp is called Religious AF. I won't go any farther than that. You can all take a guess. Actual fact. There you go. I like it. See, our neighbors are smart. This is a blessing that was crafted for that community. The world now is too dangerous and too beautiful for anything but love. May your eyes be so blessed you see God in everyone. Your ears so you hear the cry of the poor. May your hands be so blessed that everything you touch is a sacrament. Your lips so you speak nothing but the truth with love. May your feet be so blessed you run to those who need you. And may your heart be so opened, so set on fire, that your love changes everything.
Sorry, prayers for my friend Gary Smith, who just passed away.
Oh.
But prayers especially for the family.
If you can mark the ballots what you think 1, 2, and 3 should be, or some other ideas, so I can gather those up, that would be great. Otherwise, if you can help clean up, that would be lovely. But otherwise, this meeting is adjourned.